here. Here we go.
Great. Good morning, everybody. From the beautiful city of Mount Shasta, Northern California. I'm calling the BAP committee to order. Let's have a roll call, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Director Kathy Narum. Thank you. Director Alyssa Marquez.
Present, thank you.
Yes. Chair Mike Hannon.
Here.
And the record will be noted that Director Kavanaugh and Director Vale are absent today. So Chair, we have a quorum.
Great. The next item on the agenda would be, I would imagine, public comment. This would be an opportunity for the public to comment on any item that's not currently on the agenda. Is there any member of the public that would like to discuss any item that's not on the agenda? And I'll look to the clerk to help me on that regard.
Yes, we do have someone. Margie, I'm bringing you in. And for efficiency purpose, once you're in, you are unmuted, but I will time you. You have 3 minutes to speak. This is going to be a little bit more behind the scenes because it takes more time. So I will let you know when your 30-second point is reached, if that is okay.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. So good morning, board. My name is Margie Lewis, and I'm an Oakland resident and EBCE customer. I urge you to redirect the $15 million proposed donation to UCSF Benioff for funding asthma prevention and instead invest that amount of money in local programs that advance equitable access to local clean energy for EBCE's customers, which would directly reduce the root causes and triggers of asthma. Black, Indigenous, and people of color, BIPOC communities have the highest asthma rates due to high levels of environmental pollution. This local pollution from industrial sources and in-home are directly linked to childhood triggers and adult onset asthma in these environmental justice communities, which are not being served. The proposed donation is shockingly misdirected in terms of EBCE's purpose as stated in the Joint Powers Agreement and dwarfs all prior community support donations. The UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital is extremely well funded with over $2 billion in assets and over $500 million in donations just this year. Instead, EBCE should invest that $15 million to fund local development business plan programs that advance resilience and equitable access to local clean energy for customers. The $15 million funding for business plan programs could fully subsidize the following: 60 community microgrids that keep the power on during a crisis or power shutoffs, 395 electrification and energy efficiency upgrades for very low-income homes and buildings, 3,000 backup batteries for medical baseline customers. We are not just EBCE customers, we are partners in the clean energy future we seek to build. And one last comment about this whole process for this donation. Donating $15 million of EBCE's net from 2021 to 2022 was only made available for public comment the Monday before the May 18th, 2022 Board of Directors meeting. This hardly meets the completely transparent process advertised on the EBCE agency website. So please, please reconsider this donation. Thank you.
Great timing. Thank you, Margie, there. And Chair, we have no other hands raised at this time.
Great. Thank you, Margie, for your comments. Madam Clerk, I've taken myself off video just to make sure I don't lose the connection. I'm asking now my board members to approve the minutes of April the 15th, 2022.
Chair, I'm happy to move the item as the minutes were presented in our packet.
Thank you very much. And Kathy Narum seconds it. A roll call on the minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair. Director Narum.
Aye.
Director Marquez.
Aye.
Chair Hannon.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. So we'll move on to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is to review the stipend that is afforded to board members and to our community advisory committee. And I'll turn it over to Howard for presentation.
And this will actually be Jason presenting. So Jason, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Under request from the board and some members, we were asked to reevaluate our board and CAC stipend policy. So we do provide a stipend to participating board members and committee members. The stipend for the board was established in section 4.7 of the GPA at $100 per meeting, and was stated that it may be adjusted for inflation, but has since remained unchanged. There also, similarly in the JPA, a stipend for the CAC was established at $50 per meeting. It was established in the JPA that a stipend would be provided, and then the $50 per meeting was established through a board resolution in April of 2018, and has been in place since, and it has also since been unchanged, but may as well be adjusted for inflation. Next slide, please. So we conducted a survey of several CCAs and including some other agencies. And of all the CCAs surveyed, only one provided a stipend to board members or other committee members, and that is Orange County Power Authority. And they provided an amount of $212.50 per meeting, up to per board member, up to 6 per month, depending on what committees they sat on. Central Coast Community Energy had one, but they disbanded it in 2018. Clean Power SF and San Jose Clean Energy are governed more by their cities, the representative cities. So they do not have stipends related to specific board members on those organizations. And San Diego Clean Power is currently evaluating whether or not to provide a stipend. Of the other agencies that we surveyed, we did do AC Transit, BART, SMUD, and Stopways, and all of them provide stipends to various degrees. BART, for example, provide a $15 transportation reimbursement, as well as an annual amount of $18,000. So next slide, please. We thought about what options could be available, and this is what we kind of brainstormed, and we thought that, okay, well, we could increase the current stipend given to board members, $200 as an example. An increase of this nature would require a JPA amendment. That seems a little like that would be a heavy lift. So we then thought, okay, well, what if we increase it per rate of inflation as allowed? And then upon some review, that would require some board guidance on what that rate of inflation would be, as well as a resolution to change that. And then, of course, the final option that we have is to just kind of leave it unchanged, $100 and no action will be required. And so we had the same kind of thought process for the CAC meetings stipend as well. We could double it. This would not require a JPA amendment, but would require a adoption of a new resolution by the board. We could also increase it by an inflationary amount, which would require, again, board guidance and also a resolution. Or we could leave it unchanged, and in which case no additional action would be required. And so that is the summary of our findings as it relates to the board stipend.
The only one other item I would just add is amending the JPA in order to allow for an increase in the stipend is not an insignificant task, but it's absolutely a task we can do with the board. So, it's certainly not a prohibitive task by any means.
Any questions?
Howard, I'm going to be breaking up, so I'm going to turn it over to one of my board directors. But could you discuss briefly what makes it a heavy lift for a JPA amendment?
And I think that was my brief comment there is I don't think it is. I would say that maybe is a little bit of a mischaracterization. We simply would need to take an item to the board, an action item to the board with a resolution to adjust the JPA to account for a higher stipend amount. And we could also change the language to allow for, future adjustments that don't require, a JPA amendment per se. So I think it is
Okay.
absolutely a doable action.
Okay, and I'm going to make my brief comments before I lose myself. I'm the one board member that really wanted this item to be brought forward for a couple of reasons. One, whether it's $100 or $200, it's a stipend. It's still going to be a stipend. But we, as you know, spend a significant amount of time with EBCE, not only at the board meeting, but at various committee meetings as well. I'm also sensitive to the fact that our community advisory committee spends an inordinate amount of time also reviewing documents, and certainly believe an increase in their stipend is warranted as well for the really hard work that they put in and month out. So I'm proposing that we take to the board an increase in the stipend for board members to $200 and an increase in the stipend for the community advisory committee to $100. We don't get a stipend for committee meetings, do we, Howard?
You do. There's a stipend.
Oh, we do.
There's a stipend. It's per meeting, is it not, Jason?
No, the only stipend is for board meetings and CAC meetings.
Right. So we attend, finance and procurement, and we attend other committee meetings to which we're not getting a stipend for. So that was kind of my other rationale. We need to be, somewhat fairly reimbursed for the time that we're spending on this board. And so those would be my initial comments, and I would certainly turn it over to my other colleagues for their comments.
Okay, Chair, can I jump in? I know you're having difficulties with access right now, so is it
Yes,
okay?
ma'am, go ahead.
Okay,
please.
okay.
Yes,
Thank you so
absolutely,
much.
yes.
Thank you. So this is Director Marquez, and I apologize, but I have to keep my camera off at this time. But I guess one question I have is with the surveying done with other community energy groups as well as special districts, I believe you said one group had a maximum of up to 6 meetings per month that they could be reimbursed. So to our chair's point, I do feel that it's appropriate that we get compensated for the committee assignments. There's been also additional closed session meetings. And so what my preference would be is that we look at a max of up to 6 meetings a month that we can be reimbursed. And then my preference would actually be to go with the inflation. So that way it's just built in every year, and we could kind of manage costs knowing that there's a maximum number of meetings that we could be reimbursed for. And I am fully in support of allowing the advisory committee, or actually recommending that they receive a stipend of $100 per meeting. I also extremely value their work and feel that they should be compensated for that time with the stipend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Narum.
Thank you. I'm going to have a tough time supporting the 200. I sit on a number of boards where we get stipends, and when I try to compare the amount of that stipend versus the work, relative to EBCE, I'm not comfortable with the 200. I would either do the 150 or inflation adjusted or inflation indexed. And I also think up to 6 meetings may be a bit much, but I would support up to a certain number of meetings, because some of these finance meetings have taken a lot of prep work. There's no doubt about it. Others, like this one, I think I'd feel guilty taking money for this per se. So I think that's why I'm not comfortable going up to the 200. I'm also not comfortable taking the CAC up to 100. These are to some extent supposed to be volunteer civic service jobs. And when we're particularly meeting remotely, where you don't have mileage, you don't have parking expenses, I would have a tough time for the $100. And The reason our planning commission gets $50 a meeting, and having served on the planning commission, I can tell you that some of those packets are literally measured in inches of paper. And, I think this is civic service to some extent. And I don't think we can totally lose sight of that. So that would generally be my thought.
Thank you, Councilmember Narum. Colleagues, I want to make sure that as we come forward to the board that we're in unison. Would we all agree that a stipend that is increased on an annual basis based on a cost of living increase, that we compensate the board members for, let's say, up to 4 meetings per month, and that we leave the stipend for the Community Advisory Committee at 50, but we also include a cost of living increase with theirs as well? Is that something we could agree on, do you think?
Well, I could support that. I think that's reasonable.
I can support that as well.
Howard, how many different committee meetings do we ask board members to attend? Do you have a kind of a quick list of what that looks like? I know we have the executive board, we have the marketing board, we have the finance and procurement board, we have closed session meetings, which I agree should be handled differently. Are there any other committees that I'm missing?
I think that generally captures it. There's the regular, there's the CAC, which obviously is in board, isn't board participation, but there is a CAC, there's the FAP, the MRL, the exec com, and then there's special meetings, whether they be closed or open session for that matter. So I would kind of list those. And then there are public Brown Act board retreats as well, workshops with some of the different functional teams that are sort of more educational information based.
Okay, and Howard, you would agree, would you not, that 4 meetings per month? I don't imagine we have many board members attending more than that currently. Would that be correct?
That would be correct. I mean, in general, between the subcommittees, we generally do not ask board members to sit on multiple subcommittees. So it would be unlikely for a board member to go over 4 months. That's correct.
Okay, and Howard, would this necessitate a JPA amendment as well?
I don't believe this would. If this is a COLA adjustment, I think our JPA accounts for that. Our JPA does not explicitly state a cap on the number of meetings. I think whether there's a stated cap or not, to your point, I don't think we're going to go and breach that cap, the desired for cap. But we could create a policy and resolution if we would like to sort of state an explicit cap, but it wouldn't require a JPA amendment.
And then Howard, the next steps, would bring this recommendation directly to the board, or would you bring it first to the executive committee?
I would be happy to take guidance from the FAP here. I could go either way. I think typically what we would do with most items is take it to just one of the subcommittees. I would put the exec com as a subcommittee there, and then take it direct to the board. My personal opinion is I don't know that this item necessitates having sort of 2 subcommittee review and then the full board, but certainly if your preference is to that,
I'm okay with bringing it directly to the board, Howard, with the recommendation that you've heard from my colleagues that we look at a COLA increase for the board and the community advisory committees, that the board members be compensated up to 4 meetings per month, and that would include closed session, regular board meeting, FAP, marketing, and any other special meetings that are called for. And I say, let's just bring it to the entire board with and please make note, of course, that was the consensus recommendation from the finance and procurement group.
Great. And would you want to include any ad hoc close, quote unquote, closed session meetings as well in that list?
Well, I know for
Chair, if you don't mind, I would hope that you would consider that. Keep in mind that our leadership on the board, the president and vice president, have had multiple meetings discussing performance evaluation. So I think this should really capture all meetings related to our work, but with the cap that will ensure that we can kind of control that. So my preference would be your recommendation you made, a cap of up to all meetings, in addition to having the resolution to state the cap. So it's very clear.
Thank you, Councilmember Marquez, and I broke up. So you agree to cap it at 4 meetings per month,
Yes, but all meetings, any meeting related to the business of this
Right.
body.
including the ad hoc committee meetings.
Correct.
Perfect. I think we have consensus. Councilmember Narum, am I missing anything? I think your motion is the one we're adopting with the cap at 4.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I would, rather than trying to specifically identify the meetings, I'd rather leave it at 4. You know, I'll give you an example. Lab to the Wheels bus, you know, we're looking for a new executive director, and I'm probably doing 2 extra meetings a month for that right now, between hiring the search firm and the brochure and things. So I think if we try to be too specific, you never know what's going to come up. So I would just say 4 noticed meetings a month, up to 4 noticed meetings a month, or some wording that covers it all.
Okay, and Kathy, the only thing that would not cover then would be like these ad hoc committees and other special meetings that are not noticed. I think if we cap it though, Kathy, at 4, it does put a limitation in terms of the compensation that board members can get any given month. So I think that's what we were trying to do by capping the number of meetings.
That's correct, for me at least.
Okay. Howard, does this create any kind of a logistical nightmare for the accounting folks?
No, sorry, this is Jason. No, none at all.
Yep, I think this is quite manageable. Yeah.
Yeah. The only requests, there would be 2 requests, is one to, continue to make sure that, and we would manage this on our end, continue to make sure that W-9s are provided by every single attending board member, and also that that attendance is called.
And those would be required regardless. So I don't see this creating any, unmanageable logistical requirements. Can I just clarify though? I just want to make sure I understand. It's an up to 4 meeting cap. Are we including only noticed meetings, or are we also including ad hoc meetings? That wasn't totally clear to me.
Yeah, I would like to include all meetings, including ad hoc meetings, Howard. And that's why we have the cap at no more than 4. I think I think that'll address that issue. Are you okay with that, Councilmember Narum and Councilmember Marquez?
I can support that, Chair.
Yeah, I can support it.
Okay, is that as clear as crystal, Howard?
Yes, it absolutely is. Yep.
So Chair, before
Okay.
final direction is provided, we do have public comment, and it would be appropriate for the subcommittee to hear public comment for maybe possible further direction of the subcommittee. Would you like to move to that?
If we lost him, I'll go ahead and chime in. He could rejoin when he's able. But
Okay.
how many speakers do we have?
Right now we have 1 hand raised. We do have 3 in attendance. So those who are in attendance, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand now. And you can do that by using the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen.
Okay. And yes, can we please allow up to 3 minutes? And we do apologize, members of the public, that we did not call public comment, so we will not make a final recommendation until we hear from the public. We apologize. Please go ahead and start.
Thank you very much, Director Marquez. Cynthia Landry, you've been brought in. Yes, you are unmuted. And for sake of time, I'm just going to time your 3 minutes starting right now, or when you begin behind the scenes, and I'll let you know when you have 20 seconds remaining. So go ahead.
Thank you so kindly. I just happen to, I'm currently a member of the CAC, but today I guess I'm speaking as a member of the public. So I don't recall this item being brought directly to the CAC. I don't think we've had input in terms of our stipend. So I would like to see this item. We are going to have a meeting on Monday, and I would respectfully ask that, I don't believe that we have made a recommendation, and I would respectfully ask that we the members of the CAC be able to opine on this issue, please. And as I understand it, I just came on. Your COLA is going to, we are doing option 2 with the $100 and the COLA option. Is that correct? May I ask?
So a final recommendation has not been made, but at this point, based off the discussion here, we are recommending that inflation, cost of living increase be applied to both the director meetings as well as that advisory. So right now that advisory is at $50. So then we have to do calculations to see what that inflation number is, but that would be the recommendation, and up to 4 meetings. And this will be presented to the entire body as a recommendation, and ultimately they have to vote on it.
Okay, that's okay. That's good in my humble opinion, because I think whatever direction the board goes, the CAC should go also with a an annual COLA stipend. But I can only speak for myself. And then I know that our chair sometimes attends additional meetings. So I would want that same option for the additional meetings being extended to the CAC members also.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Landry, for your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are no additional hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you, Clerk. So I think at this juncture, I just want to clarify with staff, all items that are going to be noticed on a regular meeting, that information is always reviewed by the advisory board. Is that correct? So they would have an opportunity to weigh in on this topic once this item is noticed?
When we say this item, you're saying
This recommendation will eventually be on one of our agendas, correct?
yes, that is
And
correct. Yep.
once our agendas publish, those published agendas are actually reviewed in advance by the advisory committee. Is that correct?
That is correct. So we could take this item as early as July to the regular board, and the CAC would have an opportunity in conjunction with that to have discussion and comment on this as well. And certainly if it was a later meeting, they would have the same ability to comment as well, yes.
Okay, so I think that gets to Ms. Landry's concern and just having an opportunity to weigh in. They have the right to state their opinion and wishes. If they disagree, then they'll have the opportunity to present that information to the entire board. But I think I'm satisfied with the approach staff has taken. Do my colleagues agree or disagree?
I'm good with it.
Okay. Thank you. And I apologize, Howard, I don't have the agenda handy. Is this the only item we have?
This is the only item we have, correct?
Okay, does staff have the direction they need?
Yes.
Okay, is there any other comments from staff or my colleagues?
No additional announcements from staff.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for your flexibility. We apologize for the technical issues, but thank you for being here. And this meeting is adjourned.
Great. Thank you all. And just for
Bye-bye.
those, we'll be adjourned to September 16th at 10 a.m.
Okay, thank you for
Thanks,
that.
Howard.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Please let the record show for the audio record that the meeting adjourned at 10:29 p.m.